If you've ever walked into the thrift store feeling like you're going to drown in a sea of clothes, knickknacks, and chaos, you're not alone. The way I'm so overstimulated right now, you guys, it's so busy. This is the Lazy Girl's Guide to Thrifting Like a Pro. I have been avidly thrifting for over 5 years now, but this last year we purchased our very first home and I challenged myself to furnish our entire house from the thrift store, so we really kicked it up a notch. And while some days I am totally down for a good peruse, sometimes the thrift store can just feel really overwhelming. So I wanted to share my 5 tips to make the thrift store more approachable and more fun for everyone. While you never really know what treasures you're going to find at the thrift store when you go in with no idea what you're even looking for, the store seems much bigger and more daunting. It is so busy. To be honest, I don't even know what section to go to. So I always have a running thrift list on my phone. These are just items that I've been wanting for a little bit that I'm always keeping my eye out for, and it helps me narrow down the part of the store that I'd like to start my search in. Currently on my thrift list, I have a pair of green cowboy boots. I get very specific with my thrift lists. I feel like in a way it's sort of manifesting me to find it. My second item is a red pair of hunter boots. So since the first 2 items on my thrift list are shoes, I usually always head to that department of the thrift store first. So I'm thinking shoes first. Some other random things I'm currently looking for are a wooden laundry basket, like a wicker kind of vibe, very cottagey, very cute. I'm also always looking for fabric for sewing projects, and I would also absolutely die to find a pair of cow print shorts or a skirt. My next tip for making thrifting feel a little bit easier is to go often and for shorter trips. I feel like sometimes I can really pressure myself to try and find everything I'm looking for in one day and feeling like I have to go to every thrift store within a drivable radius, which can feel very overwhelming and turn into a lot of digging through racks of nothing. From what I've noticed, thrift stores restock often throughout the week, typically on a Tuesday or Thursday, and going in the mornings is usually a better bet because things are a little bit less picked over. So I like to take small trips throughout the weekday. The thrift stores are also a little bit less busy traffic-wise when you don't go on the weekend. Traffic jam. So a little lunch break thrift trip, just one store, pop in and see if they have any of the items on my list. But taking just a short little trip to the thrift store on my lunch break or just at random times throughout the day feels like a nice little break from sitting at my desk, and overall just keeps me from getting too honed in on finding exactly what I'm searching for. My next tip is to find the more organized thrift stores. All thrift stores are different, and some are way more organized in their inventory than others. So when I'm feeling overwhelmed by the process of digging and searching, I try to make sure and go to the thrift stores that tend to be a little bit more on the organized side. Things are sorted by size. Some stores even will sort things by color, less. And if I have a very specific clothing item in particular that I'm looking for, these kind of stores just make the process of finding said item feel so much less daunting. Everything is so much easier to look through. Honestly, I've seen some that are so organized, it feels just like shopping at a store. If any of you guys are like TJ Maxx or Marshalls shoppers, even those stores can feel really overwhelming to me sometimes. Staying away from the chaotic thrift stores, unless you're really in the mood for that, can also really help the process. My next tip is don't be afraid to try things on. For the longest time, I would just kind of eyeball it, and I would end up bringing so many things home that I just really didn't love and wasn't grabbing for in my closet. So the past couple of months, I've made a real point of trying things on in the store. Especially when it comes to thrifting, sizing has changed so much over the years. Even within the same brands, you could find 2 pairs of jeans from American Eagle from totally different decades, the same size, and they are drastically different the way that they fit your body. So I, when looking for clothing items in particular, am really patient and always make a point to try things on. And that way I'm making sure I'm bringing home things that I really love the way they look and feel on my body, and I don't end up with just piles of clothes that I'm not gonna wear cluttering up my closet. Along these same lines, when I am looking for clothes, I do make it a point to make sure that the items feel really high quality. I tend to pass on a lot of items that are Shein, like really fast fashion, because overall those clothes are low quality to start and somebody else has already put wear and tear on them. And I personally am very big on how fabrics feel when I'm wearing them. So taking the time to search and dig for some higher quality items has changed the absolute game as far as how much use and love I have for every item that I bring home. My next tip is to stay patient and keep an open mind. While it can take a little bit longer to find the items you're looking for at the thrift store, I think that's part of the fun of it. It's part of the adventure, you know? You never really know what you're gonna find. There's been times that I've found some of my favorite pieces of clothing ever, or even just items for my home that I was like not expecting to find, but have turned out to be my most loved treasures from the thrift store. So while I do always have a thrift list, I'm always open to other treasures finding me and coming home with me. And even though it does take me a little bit longer to find the items on my thrift list sometimes, I love that I'm able to do a lot more shopping because, let's face it, your girl loves shopping and spend a lot less money over time because I've tried to get a little bit more intentional on what I bring home and searching for items I know I'm really gonna love. Next is to consider upcycling. This is something I've just gotten into, but opens up a whole new world of thrifting. There are so many items that I've found over the years that are absolute banger scores, but weren't quite perfect for me. Maybe a little bit on the loose side, a little bit too long. And since I've gotten into sewing and thrift flipping, the options are truly endless on the things I can find at the thrift store. From flips as simple as hems or slight resizes to like full-blown thrift flips. I actually turned 7 flannels into the cutest dress a little while back, which was so fun and kept me busy for like an entire day and is very quickly becoming a hobby of mine. I just love the idea of bringing an old loved item back to life in a new way, and it's a really fun way to express your creativity and bring some truly unique items into your closet. At the end of the day, things have just gotten a lot more expensive recently, and thrifting makes me so excited that I can still find and bring new things or new to me things into the house without breaking the bank. Thrifting does not have to be as overwhelming as it can seem sometimes if you tackle it the right way. So I hope these tips made thrifting feel a little bit more approachable to you, especially if you're a girly that gets overwhelmed and overstimulated like me. If you want to see all of these tips in action, come thrifting with me and watch this playlist here. I have found some of the most insane treasures recently, and I'm scheming up another thrift trip soon.